Today on Morning Drive, we would all love more distance, but what good is length if you can't control your wedges? Justin Thomas certainly can, and today our Golf Channel Academy coaches will teach you how to avoid mishits with your wedges too. Plus, all morning long, we will take you live to the site of this week's Solheim Cup. Hear from our insiders as well as a past U.S. team captain as we gear you up for this year's match between the U.S. and Europe. And you don't want to miss an inspiring story of European Solheim Cup member Mel Reid. She burst onto the scene 10 years ago as the low-am at the Rico Women's British Open. Now, her life is forever changed. It's a story of triumph, tragedy, and learning to cope with both. That and much more on Morning Drive today, August 16th, 2017. And a good Wednesday morning to you. I'm Damon Hack alongside the big timer Charlie Reimer. Got a PGA Tour winner and Robert Dameron. Big time. I've seen you. We were hanging out in Akron, so we go back. I haven't seen you in a while, buddy. How are you?
Doing great. Had a great time up in Charlotte at the PGA Championship and took off from there Sunday night to go to Evansville, Indiana. Spent a little bit of time out at Victoria National golf course at hostaweb.com event. I always heard it's a great course, and I heard it was very difficult. It was. Travis Fulton was up there. We had a Golf Channel Academy Pro-Am. It was really a lot of fun to play in. I'm not giving you the count on how many golf balls I lost, but I did make a skin yesterday, D-Hack. Made an eagle on number 15, driver and a 5 with a little butter cut in there. Threw the putt right in, bucket. I hollered. $270 for that skin.
How about that?
If you leave cash money.
If you leave with more money than you came with, then it's all good. Doesn't matter what you shot or anything.
You have a good Tuesday yourself?
I had a nice Tuesday. I didn't do much. Just sitting around the house, enjoying a little TV, a little me time.
Well, let's get this show moving. You know what's happening now? The final event of the PGA Tour regular season schedule. Yeah, it starts tomorrow. The Wyndham Championship, Sedgefield Country Club, Greensboro, North Carolina. This is the 11th straight year, by the way, that the Wyndham has been the final regular season event on the PGA Tour schedule. You got Henrik Stenson, Kevin Kisner, Bill Haas, Chris Stroud in this field. It all leads up to the FedEx Cup playoffs. The playoffs begin next week. The Northern Trust at Glen Oaks and Old Westbury, New York. The Dell Technologies Championship, that's at TPC Boston in Norton, Mass. And you got a week off, then the BMW Championship at Conway Farms outside Chicago, and the Tour Championship, of course, at East Lake in Atlanta. Robert Dameron, a lot to talk about this week. Guys playing for their job security. What's on your mind?
That's it. To me, the top stories 1, 2, and 3 are bubble, and bubble.
Bubble.
This is it, and the guys know for sure that where they're going to stand, the 125, 126, 127, and those fellas, and the pressure is so much. I was looking over last year's, and I'd actually forgotten. Number 126 missed the cut, 127 missed the cut, 28, 29. There were so many guys that missed the cut in what's honestly a little bit of a weaker field because of that pressure. But you look at these guys, in my mind, I'm looking at this. I was doing the math a little bit.
That's dangerous.
I think I carried the one just fine. I think Hearn's okay at 121. Just numerically, that's too many people to pass. Warinsky, Power, Summerhays, Ogilvy, they've got to make the cut.
What about Sam Saunders sitting there at 127?
Saunders is the guy that I'm personally looking at. I'm, again, doing the math.
Yeah.
Not my strong suit. If he finishes 36th, that gets him 20 FedEx Cup points. That puts him over a number where I think he's bulletproof. So 36th place for Sam is what he's looking at. Now, here's the question. Does he know that, or does he tell himself that going in? Does he try to put that out of his mind and play normal golf?
Right.
Does he try to extra grind hard and say, I'm gonna get there, I know the position? Sometimes I would go either way, and I would say either I'm going to try to forget this and play it just like a normal round with my buddies, but then sometimes you got to challenge yourself and say, this is what I do, I'm great at it, I'm supposed to be here, I'm going to do it.
Sam playing well, by the way. T19 in Canada, 8th at the Barracuda. So he comes in with some momentum. You know what it's like, Charlie, to be a bubble boy. And I say that with all due respect.
Oh, yeah. I was always right around that top 125. And so here's the deal about the pressure. And I remember talking to Chris DeMarco about this. You get in the heat in a major championship on Saturday or Sunday. There's certainly pressure, but it's a different kind of pressure because you're playing well. If you're feeling the heat, if you're on the lead, a couple back in a major, a big event. But if you're on that bubble, typically you haven't played your best golf to be there. And so now it's like you're talking about. So what do you do? Do you push yourself? Do you try to relax? What do you do? Sam's in a great spot because he is playing well coming in. If I'm Sam, I just sort of forget about it and go do what I've been doing the last few weeks. But let's say you're a player who's reeling, things aren't going your way, and you have got to perform this week. It can create a ton of drama, a lot of pressure. Quite frankly, it's not a lot of fun. You don't sleep well. You're grumpy, you're irritable because your career's on the line. And it does make for great television, but having gone through it, it's not that much fun.
It is fun for a viewer to see who's playing well, who's struggling, who's rising to the occasion. Charlie, what's your big storyline this week?
Kevin Kisner is in the field this week, and I'm going to be interested to see how he bounces back. Kevin, and I haven't spoken to him since last week, but if you look at Kevin, he was in great shape on Saturday. He came to 16 with a 2-shot lead, made double there, hit it left. Also hit a poor shot on Saturday into 18, ended up making bogey here. Those two had to sting, and then Kevin, quite frankly, on Sunday did not play his best golf.
Right.
And it's really the first time he's had a legitimate shot at winning a major championship. And if I could talk to Kevin, I mean, he's a guy, he's probably pretty grumpy, but I think he'll ultimately get around to, and this is what everybody has to tell themselves in golf. You're trying to break 80, whatever your goal is, you put yourself in position the first time, the second time you fail, you got to learn from that.
Yeah.
You can get angry a little bit, but then you got to go back and break it down and say, you know what I do wrong, what I do right, and try and get a game plan from there. But very seldom in golf, the first time you put yourself in position to break whatever your goal is, do you succeed? And you got to understand, hey, I got there. And that's what Kevin Kisner has got to do. I got there. What am I going to do better next time?
Terrific advice. And he is playing well, a victory this season, 7 top 10s on his PGA Tour season so far. Also happening now, yes, the Solheim Cup for the 15th time. The United States against Europe. And a couple of stars, folks, they're hurting. You see Lexi Thompson there. She has a virus. Now, Suzanne Pedersen dealing with a back injury. Both players were limited in their preparation yesterday. In fact, Pedersen has been dealing with back injuries really since the beginning of her career. She missed the ANA in 2014 and only played 9 events because of a back injury back in 2005. Of course, 2 years ago, the U.S. defeated Europe 14.5 to 13.5. So let's look at the format for this week at Des Moines Golf and Country Club. Friday, you see the foursome matches and the afternoon 4-ball. Saturday, foursome and 4-ball, and Sunday, always interesting and fun to watch, the 12 singles matches. So why don't we go to Des Moines Golf and Country Club right now and welcome in our own Lisa Cornwell. Lisa, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Damon. I told you guys earlier, these aren't normal hours for me. You're used to it, so I'm still trying to wake up just a little bit. But I'm in the saddle. I got here yesterday and started exploring some of the top storylines you just mentioned. Suzanne Pedersen, a bit of a concern right now for Captain Annika Sorenstam. Suzanne is a longtime player in this event. She's a stalwart. She's had 8 appearances, her record 16, 11, and 6. But not just that, she's the vocal leader. So no matter whether she can go or not, you have to think that she will have a big impact on this very young bunch, that being the Europeans. Good news, though, for Annika is that her replacement would be Katrina Matthew, also a veteran, 8 appearances and an overall record of 15, 10, and 8. Now, we don't know too much about the injury. They haven't spoken a lot about it. Annika mentioned it briefly. Suzanne had a press conference yesterday. She decided not to do it because she's getting treatment. I know that she does have a physio who travels with her regularly, and of course they have a team of physios here who will give her some extra attention. But Annika is scheduled to have a press conference today, so hopefully we'll get some more information on Suzanne's status. A big figure in this event, especially after what, as you mentioned, a couple of years ago and the controversy surrounding that. But Suzanne's done her best to make things right, if you will, and she badly wants to participate in this one, especially after narrowly losing out on the European side a couple of years ago.
Absolutely, Suzanne, you would think absolutely vital for the European chances this week in Des Moines. How about Lexi Thompson, big hitter for the United States? She's under the weather as well. What can you tell us, Lisa?
Again, with Lexi, we don't really know a lot. It doesn't seem to be too severe. I'll tell you, I was in the clubhouse last night just chatting with some of the girls, and Lexi walked in a little late. You could tell that she was a bit under the weather, but it doesn't seem like it's anything that would be too overly concerning for Captain Inkster, although, things can progress. We don't know at what stage really she is as far as this illness is concerned, but that she was there for the rules meeting last night, that's obviously a good sign. Lexi's young, she's healthy, she's fit, she's strong, so you have to think that come Friday, today, she'll be good to go, sort of taking things easy at this point.
Well, Lisa, you mentioned the controversy, of course, 2 years ago, Allison Lee, Suzanne Pedersen, the concession, that non-concession. What's Julie Inkster's approach this year for conceding putts?
Well, when it comes to team play, she's assigning a certain person to actually hand out the concession. Look, I think both sides will tell you that they really learned a lot from what happened in 2015. Everybody paid attention to that. You know, it's one of those things that, look, these ladies don't play match play much anymore, right? As professionals, you do quite a bit, especially on the European side, more as an amateur. But, you know, it's one thing to get out there and think that, okay, your 18-inch putt it's a gimme. We all do it every single day, right? But in the heat of the battle, I think that it was just a slip up by Allison Lee. And of course, the controversy happened. I think a lot of the Americans, though, will tell you that that it really helped them put on their rally caps. And so obviously we saw the outcome. But yeah, Julie's handled it in this way, and they've had a discussion about it. Again, they did have a rules meeting last night and addressed it. So hopefully no more controversy involving conceded putts. Just a little funny note, in 2015, Julie gave her team lunch pails because, you know, Julie's very blue collar. And this year she gave them hard hats. So this group is, they're ready to get out there and grind it out. They're ready for whatever. But I like the mentality from that side. So we'll get to hear from Annika today, and who knows what Annika has provided with her side, but I'm sure that it will be equally entertaining and gutsy, something gutsy from Captain Annika.
Love it. Lunch pails and hard hats. Great information from Lisa Cornwell. Stay warm, grab another cup of coffee, and we'll talk to you in just a little bit. Right now, we're going to kick it over to the big timer and Robert Dammer.
All right, Damon, that's what we need, some hard hats. That'd work great for
kidding. Especially when we go to the simulator in a little while.
Yeah, exactly. So concessions in match play played a big role in the Solheim Cup last time. Recently in the USGA Girls Junior concession issue in the semifinal match ended up impacting the eventual winner of that championship. And Robert, the concession in match play, it's something that players don't really experience. I mean, we think about young junior golfers coming out. Golf is all the time about putting up a score. You get in a bubble. You don't have any engagement with the people that you're playing with. In match play, you have to have that engagement. And I think on concessions, you have a responsibility. If I'm playing you, I've got to physically position myself where I can see your eyes when you get finished with a putt, and I've got to verbally let you know
yes,
that's good, or I can just go silent. And it's just so different for players, and we've seen players drop the ball on this over the last several years in quite a few big situations.
Yeah, it's your responsibility to let me know or to decide for yourself. I want to see him make that, or I think he'll make it anyway. That's good. But it's also on me to hear that 100%. Don't make any mistake about it. The funny thing is, though, last year when you look at Allison Lee's mistake of picking it up and not hearing good, funny, it turned out to be Suzanne Pedersen's mistake, because that spurred the Europe team
flip-flopped on
to
a
win.
little
I have
bit.
no doubt Europe was going to keep going and marching on to a win otherwise. But in a situation where it's match or medal play, players, I never thought they intimidated me or anything like that, because it's just me. It's just my score. I grew up on the range by myself, hitting balls. I can take care of myself. But match play, you are in that situation. And controlling the concessions of the other player's ball is a really good way to kind of take a little bit of power away from the other player. So it's something that you shouldn't take for granted. You almost do need to have a little bit of a game plan when you enter a match play event. Yeah,
it's certainly very interesting when you have to get outside of your bubble and engage your opponent. I love that. And right now, let's engage Damon Hack. Damon, what you got for us?
Appreciate that, big timer. Look at this great picture on social media. The two teams side by side, smiling. The United States and Europe. We'll see if those smiles last on Friday when they go toe-to-toe. The U.S. has won 9 and Europe has won 5. Look at this athleticism from Georgia Hall, European Solheim Cup rookie. She's got 5 top 10s worldwide. Of course, finished tied for 3rd at the Rico Women's British Open. Maybe Charlie will jump a little bit later. Tee sheet time. How about Manchester Lane? What does that mean from building a golf ball to testing a golf ball? What should you know? And yes, everyone wants to hit the ball a long way, but you have to dial in your wedges. Justin Thomas does it well. Our Golf Channel Academy coaches are here to help you so you don't miss-hit your wedges. It can sometimes be be extremely painful. And yes, Mel Reid, European Solheim Cup star. You're going to learn her backstory, very inspirational, her road to the European Solheim Cup team. It's a story you don't want to miss on this Wednesday edition of Morning Driver in Des Moines, Iowa. In Studio AP, Charlie Reimer, can you show us some athleticism? You know, you're a new man.
Only if we get a little Van Halen going. You know what I'm talking about. Jump. All right, you ready? I'm just going to jump right over you. You ready? No, I can't. Okay. Did you see that?
I don't have.
Good.
I don't have the
much
knees
higher
for
than
it.
Phil Mickelson.
Mickelson and Oakland.
Much higher.
Oh,
Hurt. God.
walk it off.